Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're from Group 7 from Organizational Design and Behavior class. We'll be presenting our group assignment, a case study on KSM organization. Next. So this is the member of our group. There are Cindy, Izzul, Theresa, Iswatun, and also me, Laras. Next.
Chapter 1, Introduction. Next. In an organization or company, there are some important aspects that help the operation to reach the expected goal. To make sure that the process is going as planned, an organization structure is needed. Organization structure is some company's component that explain the position, function, duty, and right of the members of the organization clearly. In an organization, there is also a culture that can be the characteristic of the organization. Stoner said that an organization culture is a process, value, or customs that is applied and obeyed by the organization members to reach the goal. Besides structure and culture, an organization also has diversity. The differences in organization include age gap, gender, religion, and ethnic. In an organization, diversity is common and important because it can be beneficial to give some different perspective. Therefore, this paper is written to discuss about the organization aspect in Kelompok Studi Mahasiswa Business Management 10 November Institute of Technology from the structure, culture, and diversity in organization. This paper is expected to give insight to the readers on those three aspects. Next, problems. Number one, how is the diversity in KSM? How do KSM solve diversity problems? How does the organizational structure of the KSM? How does KSM implement this structure? How is the culture in KSM? And how do KSM maintain in a good culture to achieve goals? Objective and benefit. To know that the diversity in KSM, to know how KSM solve diversity problems, to know the organizational structure of KSM, to know the reason why KSM choose that structure, to know the culture in KSM, and to know how KSM maintains a good culture to achieve the goal. Next, profile organization. Kelompok Studi Mahasiswa is a structural organization of the KMMB which has an equal position with PMSA, Mosaic, Improve, and Manifest. This organization is under the auspices of the ITS Business Management Department. This organization aims to help and facilitate students, especially from ITS Business Management, to participate in internationalization activities such as student exchange, short programs, and study abroad. Next. Idenser, inspired by novel of the same name by author Andrea Hirata. The name Idenser is chosen to represent fellowship, ambition to broaden our knowledge, globalize, and growth. First, circular lines means growth orientation. Second, looking to the outside world mean open-minded. Third, circle from of logo means collaborative. Fourth, Tower of St. Peter's Crunch mean Edenser landmark. And last, orange and blue colors mean creativity. Next, vision and mission. Vision KSM MBITS as a space with the spirit of a synergistic and enriching globalization. Mission, create a space for self-growth in the face of global challenges, build an inclusive and independent learning environment, convey a good public impression through actualization measures, and maintain a good and sustained relationship with internal and external stakeholders. Next. This is organization structure of KSM MBITS. Next.
Next, I'm going to explain about the literature review. Next. First is diversity in organization. As we know, Indonesia is a country that has diversity, that the community comes from a unique background and various kinds such as education, religion, ethnicity, language, culture, and also the tradition. With all of the diversity that exists, it will certainly affect the value and mindset of each individual. Diversity management means taking steps to maximize the potential of diversity with differences in the characteristics of members to achieve better performance. In practice, diversity management will engage everyone of different backgrounds into a predetermined value to achieve the goals of the organization. There are five steps in managing workforce diversity. First, the organization have to provide the strong leadership. Second, every member in the organization have to assess the situation. Third, the organization or the company have to provide the diversity training and also the education. Next, the organization and also the members have to change the culture and the management system. And last but not least, the organization have to evaluate the diversity management program. Next, next, let me explain about the structure of the organization. Organization structure is the arrangement of the system of relationship between leadership position in an organization. This is the result of consideration and awareness of the importance of planning for the determination of power, responsibility, and of course, specialization of each member in the organization. Organization structure establish how tasks and jobs are divided and formally coordinated. It is an arrangement and relationship between parts, components, and positions within a company.
Okay, next is biographical characteristic. Biographical characteristics are characters that influence a person in a way or another within an organization or within society. According to Robinson Judge, there are some of uh, biographical characteristics. The first one is age. Age is increasingly relevant characteristic as the workforce is aging. The older workers tend to bring experience, judgment, a strong work ethic, and commitment to quality. But there is a perception that older workers are still perceived as less adaptable and less motivated to learn new technology. Second one is gender. There are a few differences between men and women that affect the job performance. The next is race and ethnicity. Race is defined as a heritage people use to identify themselves, and ethnicity is additional set of cultural characteristics that often overlaps with race. Both of these offer little explanation for differential in workplace outcomes. The next is disabilities. A disabled person is someone who suffers from a physical or a mental impairment which has a substantial and long-term adverse effect on his ability to carry our normal day-to-day activities. This include missing limbs, illness that requires a person to use wheelchair, blindness, and etc. The next one is hidden disabilities. There are some of disabilities may not be obvious or invisible unless the individual decides to disclose the disabilities. These disabilities fall under categories of sensory disabilities, for example, impaired hearing, autoimmune disorder, chronic illness or pain, and etc. There are also some other differentiation characteristic factors which illustrate deep level indifference that provide opportunities for workplace diversity. The first one is tenure, second one is religion, sexual orientation and gender identity, and also cultural identity. Next. So the next is characteristic of organizational culture. As general, organizational culture is composed of 7 characteristics that range in priority from high to low. These are 7 characteristics of organizational culture according to O'Reilly 3 et al. The first one is innovation or risk orientation. The second one is attention to detail or precision orientation. The third one is emphasis on outcome or achievement orientation. The fourth one is emphasis on people or fairness orientation. Fifth one is teamwork or collaboration orientation. Sixth one is aggressiveness or competitive orientation. And the last one is stability or rule orientation. Next.
Next is chapter 3, research and method. Next. The first is collecting data technique. Data collection technique is a method used by research to obtain information about the thing to be studied. Meanwhile, according to experts, data collection techniques are way of obtaining data in conducting research activity. Meanwhile, according to other experts regarding quantitative research, there are several data collection techniques that are commonly used. Some of these techniques include interview, observation, documentary studies, and focus group discussion. The techniques used to extract data were observing and interviewing the chairman of the KSM organization. Next.
And then is interview and observation. The timing is 15 April 2021 and the location is online meeting platform. Researchers conduct interviews activities to the chairman of the KSM organization by asking the following question. Number one is, does the KSM organization provide equal opportunities to prospective staff regardless of surface level diversity and deep level diversity? Number two is, are there any obstacles encountered by KSM in implementing diversity management and how to overcome them? Number three is three keys to KSM success in managing diversity in the organization. Number four is what kind of organizational structure does the KSM organization use and why use the type of organizational structure? Number five is how do allocate members to the organizational structure? Number six is, are there any obstacle when implementing the organizational structure and are there any advantage when implementing the organizational structure? Number seven is explain the characteristic of culture organization in KSM. Number eight is, are there any obstacles faced by KSM in implementing culture organization? Number nine is how to maintain KSM culture organization and how to develop the culture. And the last is how are the challenges and how to develop or build a culture organization. The next is journals reviews. Number one is diversity management means taking steps to maximize the potential for diversity with difference in the characteristic of members to achieve better performance. In practice, diversity management will involve everyone of different backgrounds into a predetermined value to achieve the organization's goals. Is according to Bangun 2011. Number two is organizational structure is the arrangement of the system of relationship between leadership position in the organization. This is the result of consideration and awareness about the importance of planning for the determination of power, responsibilities, specialization of each member of the organization is according to Budiasi 2011. And the last is organization's culture is a system of spreading belief and values that develop in organization and direct behavior of its members. Organizational culture will affect all aspects of the organization and the behavior of members of the organization, which then determines of performance of member and organization is according to Wirawan 2007. And the last is research variables. Number one is this research study is intended to find out how deep diversity exists in the KSM organization of business management ITS. This research has variables that are surface level diversity such as gender, age, religion, ethnic, race, etc. And deep level diversity such as diversity in terms of personality and values. Number two is intended to know what the organizational structure is applied in KSM organization. This research has variables that are evaluative coordinates or hierarchy, and the last is intended to know the characteristic of culture organization in KSM organization. This research has variables that are flexible and openness in the organizational culture.
And last, type of research. The type of data collection we choose in this study was qualitative. This is because we want to explain the phenomena that occur in KSM organization in as much detail as possible. The data we use consists of primary and secondary data. This data collection method helps us to provide a detailed explanation of the research.
Okay, so thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.